My name's Lena. 32 years old. Marketing manager. Married. And up until recently, I thought I was living a quiet, drama-free life. I had two constants, my husband Ryan, and my best friend Tessa. I met Tessa back in college. She was bold, magnetic, the kind of girl who made friends just by walking into a room. I was nothing like her. Reserved. Thoughtful. Careful with my words. But somehow, we clicked. Maybe because she made me feel seen. We were inseparable: sleepovers, late-night ramen runs, failed relationships, bad jobs, family drama, you name it, we survived it together. And then came Ryan. I met him at a networking event when I was 26. He wasn't flashy. He didn't sweep me off my feet with grand gestures. He was calm, intelligent, and spoke like someone who thought before he acted. After a string of chaotic relationships, his steadiness felt like safety. Tessa liked him right away. She said, "He's the kind of guy who'd never cheat. You can see it in his eyes." She called him boring in the best way. Reliable. Predictable. I remember laughing with her about it, thinking how lucky I was. We got married a year and a half later. A small ceremony in a garden. Tessa stood beside me in a pale lavender dress, crying more than anyone else. "You deserve this," she whispered, hugging me tight. Finally. For the next 3 years, life moved in a quiet rhythm. Work, home, occasional dinners out. Ryan traveled often for real estate investments, but he always came back with small gifts: a perfume bottle, a silk scarf, a magnet from whatever city he'd been in. I never questioned anything. And Tessa? She was still a huge part of my life. We saw each other weekly. She helped decorate our apartment. Gave me skincare tips. Texted me about guys she dated, though strangely, never let me meet them. One night, everything shifted. Ryan came home late from a client meeting. He was tired, went straight to shower. His phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. Normally, I'd never touch it. We respected each other's privacy. But that night, something made me glance over. Maybe it was the second glass of wine I had. Or maybe it was that quiet discomfort that had been building inside me for weeks. The screen lit up. A hotel reservation confirmation. Curious, I tapped it. 2 guests. 1 king bed. 3 nights. Booked last week. Not for business. My stomach turned. I opened his photo gallery. That's when my world collapsed. There were pictures. Dozens. Of Ryan, with her. Tessa. Smiling at each other on balconies. Holding hands in candlelit restaurants. One picture of them in bathrobes, wrapped around each other in bed. My best friend. My husband. My hands started shaking. I scrolled further. Screenshots of conversations. Flights. Dates. Then I opened an email. My heart stopped. A scanned document. Marriage certificate. Legally binding. Issued in another state. Dated 1 year ago. Tessa. Not just the other woman. She was his second wife. And all this time, she sat across from me at brunch, listening to me talk about how distant Ryan's been lately. She gave me advice. Told me to be patient. Told me he loved me. She lied to my face with a smile. And I believed her. That night, I sat at the kitchen table until the sun came up. Ryan came out in his towel, confused to see me still awake. "Everything okay?" he asked. I stared at him. I didn't scream. Didn't cry. I simply said, "Your phone was unlocked." The color drained from his face. He didn't deny it. He just sat down in silence. And for the first time in years, I saw the real Ryan. Not the dependable man I married. Not the one Tessa praised. But a liar. A coward. Someone who built 2 lives on a foundation of manipulation. And the woman I trusted with everything? She wasn't my friend. She was my replacement. I didn't say anything else. I walked past him, locked myself in the bedroom, and texted my boss that I'd be taking a personal week. I didn't know what I was going to do next. All I knew was, this wasn't going to break me. It was going to wake me up. And I wasn't going to stay silent. Not anymore. I didn't cry the next day. Not because it didn't hurt, but because I was done wasting my energy on people who didn't deserve it. I showered. I packed a bag. I told Ryan I was leaving for a while. He didn't say much. Just sat on the couch, his face blank. Like he was waiting for a script he didn't have. I didn't yell. I didn't ask for an explanation. What was the point? Every question already had an answer. I just didn't want to believe it before. I checked into a hotel on the other side of the city. Not fancy, just quiet. I needed silence. I needed to breathe. For the first time in years, I was away from both of them, no fake smiles, no lies wrapped in friendship. That night, I stared at my phone. Tessa had texted me earlier. "Hey babe, everything okay? You've been quiet." I wanted to laugh. I typed and deleted my reply 4 times. Then finally, I wrote, "We need to talk. Tomorrow. Just us." She agreed to meet at our usual coffee shop. The same one we'd been going to since college. Funny how betrayal always finds a way to make even the safest places feel rotten. The next morning, I got there early. I chose a seat in the back, facing the door. She walked in 5 minutes late, dressed in that effortlessly polished way of hers, cream trench coat, oversized sunglasses, hair tied back like she was above all of this. She spotted me and smiled. She actually smiled. As if nothing had happened. "Hey you," she said, sliding into the seat across from me. "What's going on?" I looked at her. No words came out for a few seconds. Then I placed my phone on the table. Opened the photo album. Turned it toward her. She went quiet. Her smile froze. She stared for a second. Then 2. And then, she smirked. "Ah," she said, sitting back. "So you found out." No denial. No apology. Just confirmation. "So how long?" I asked. My voice sounded far away, even to me. She sipped her coffee. "Almost 2 years now. But he met me before you, if that makes you feel better." It didn't. 2 years, I repeated. "You sat across from me for 2 years and said nothing." She shrugged. "He loves us both in different ways." That sentence. That sentence. She said it like it was reasonable. Like it explained everything. "He's my husband," I said quietly. She tilted her head. "And mine." I stared at her, stunned. "You were my best friend, Tessa. You were supposed to be family." Her eyes narrowed just slightly. "You think I didn't feel guilty?" I did. At first. But then I realized something. You made him soft. Passive. Comfortable. But with me, he's ambitious. Wild. He's himself. You had the safe version. I have the real one." I almost laughed. She sounded proud. Like she'd won some twisted game. "I guess you're okay being the secret," I said. "The second. The illegal one." Her jaw clenched. "I'm not a secret anymore," she replied. "He promised to leave you. We were just waiting for the right time." That cut deeper than I expected. Because even in the betrayal, a part of me still believed he'd choose me in the end. And hearing her say it like that, so final, so sure, it snapped something in me. I stood up. She looked surprised. "You know what the difference is between us?" I said. "I loved him for who he was. You love him for how he makes you feel about yourself." She didn't reply. I picked up my bag. "I'm done with both of you," I said. And I walked out. I didn't cry. Not yet. Not there. Later that night, I went home. Ryan was gone. His side of the closet was empty. A note sat on the kitchen counter. "I'm sorry you had to find out this way. I never meant to hurt you." No explanation. No apology for marrying my best friend. Just vague regret and cowardice wrapped in a single sentence. Typical. I looked around the apartment, our apartment, and I didn't feel sadness. I felt used. I felt stupid. But most of all, I felt done. I opened my laptop. Started looking up lawyers. And just like that, I decided I wasn't going to let either of them win. The next morning, I filed for divorce. No hesitation. "No, maybe we can fix this." "No, we just need time." He didn't deserve time. He'd already stolen enough of mine. I walked into the attorney's office with my head held high, even though I felt like a shell inside. My lawyer, a sharp, no-nonsense woman named Dana, looked over the details and raised an eyebrow when I handed her the photo evidence. "Is this who I think it is?" she asked, tapping a picture of Ryan and Tessa wrapped around each other in some hotel suite. I nodded. "My best friend." She shook her head. "You're not just divorcing a cheater. You're divorcing a bigamist." That word hit different. Bigamist. Illegal. Criminal. It wasn't just betrayal. It was a crime. Dana said we could press charges, go after his assets, expose everything. But she paused. "This is going to get public," she said. "Messy. Are you sure you want that kind of fire?" I looked her straight in the eye. I don't want revenge. I want truth. I want them to know I'm not staying quiet. She smiled. Good. Because you have a strong case, and we're going to tear him apart. The paperwork started that day. I gave her access to emails, screenshots, records. The marriage certificate Ryan had hidden in his inbox. Hotel receipts. Phone logs. It was all there. He hadn't even tried that hard to cover his tracks. Because he thought I'd never look. He thought I'd stay blind forever. I didn't tell anyone for a few days. Not my coworkers. Not my family. I needed time to adjust to this new version of my life. The one where I wasn't a wife. Or a best friend. Just Lena. Alone. And strangely, that began to feel like freedom. I started sleeping better. No late night worrying about why Ryan hadn't texted back. No anxiety over Tessa's fake little smiles and shallow advice. No second guessing my gut. I knew what I knew. And I wasn't going to apologize for finally acting on it. A week later, Ryan tried calling me. I didn't answer. Then he texted. Can we talk? I stared at the message. Not because I considered replying. But because I was shocked at the nerve. Talk? What was there left to say? He followed up with a voice message, 48 seconds of shallow regret and vague explanations. It wasn't what you think. I didn't mean for it to happen that way. Tessa came back into my life unexpectedly, lies. All of it. I deleted the message. I didn't even flinch. Then came the part one didn't expect. Tessa posted a photo. A soft, grainy selfie of her and Ryan on a balcony, wine glasses in hand. No caption. Just a white heart emoji. Subtle. But loud enough. She was showing me, showing everyone, that he was hers now. No shame. No guilt. I stared at the photo for a full minute before I logged out of the app. Then I opened a new document on my laptop. And I started writing. Not just about Ryan. Not just about Tessa. About all of it. The little signs. The emotional gaslighting. The way women are taught to understand and forgive instead of fight back. It started as a journal entry. Then turned into a blog post. I hit publish. The next morning, I woke up to dozens of emails. Comments. Messages from strangers. Women telling me their stories. Some had been cheated on by husbands. Others had lost best friends to betrayal. One woman simply wrote, "You gave me permission to leave." That hit me hard. Because I had spent years thinking silence made me strong. That staying calm, staying quiet, meant maturity. It didn't. It just made me a convenient victim. That week, Dana called. His lawyer reached out, she said. He wants to settle fast. Quietly. Of course he did. He was scared. Not of me. But of exposure. He knew once it was out that he was legally married to 2 women, his career would collapse. His clean image? Gone. He wanted me to sign papers and take a buyout. To walk away quietly with a lump sum. I told Dana no. Not unless the settlement included a public acknowledgement of what he did, and a clause that he wouldn't contest any future interviews or articles. If he wanted peace, he'd have to give me honesty. She paused. Then said, I'll push it through. I never spoke to Ryan again. Not directly. Everything went through lawyers. And as the divorce moved forward, I didn't feel broken. I felt lighter. Like every lie I shed made room for something real. The best part? The blog post went viral. Suddenly, I was invited to write columns, appear on podcasts. People wanted to hear the story. Not because it was scandalous, but because it was true. I wasn't just the woman who got cheated on. I was the woman who didn't stay quiet about it. And that, I realized, is a kind of power no one can take from you. Not even your husband. Not even your best friend. I thought that once I exposed the truth, they'd disappear quietly. I was wrong. Tessa wasn't the type to stay silent. She'd always been calculated, careful about appearances. And when the divorce documents went public, mentioning bigamy, naming her indirectly, it was only a matter of time before she tried to take control of the narrative. It started small. A few cryptic posts on her page. Phrases like, don't believe everything you read, or, some women just can't let go. Then came the passive-aggressive selfies with Ryan, always looking blissful, always showing off a ring that wasn't even legally valid. She wanted to paint herself as the winner. The one he chose. But here's what she didn't expect. I wasn't playing her game anymore. A week after the blog post went viral, I was asked to appear on a podcast, one that focused on women's stories of betrayal and survival. It had a huge following. I agreed. The interview wasn't messy. I didn't name drop. I didn't call her names. I didn't even say Ryan's name. I spoke facts. I spoke about emotional manipulation, betrayal masked as love, and how silence enables abusers. I ended with this. The ones who betray you will try to rewrite your story. But they can't erase the truth, especially when you have receipts. That quote was clipped and shared everywhere. People reposted it, commented, messaged me things like "this saved me" and "thank you for speaking up." It became bigger than me. And it drove Tessa crazy. She reached out. For the first time since our confrontation at the coffee shop, she messaged me directly. "You're making a spectacle out of this. Haven't you done enough?" I stared at the screen. Done enough? I took a screenshot and left it unread. Because I had done enough. Enough trusting. Enough forgiving. Enough pretending we were ever really friends. If she wanted to play victim now, she was late to the game. Meanwhile, Ryan was losing control of his image. He tried damage control, public charity appearances, cheesy statements about personal challenges, but it was too late. One journalist dug deeper. Found the second marriage license. Found inconsistencies in his travel records. Then a full article dropped online, real estate mogul accused of bigamy amidst divorce scandal. His career took a hit overnight. Clients backed away. Partnerships paused. His name wasn't tied to success anymore. It was tied to deception. One day, Dana called with an update. His team wants a final settlement. They're offering everything you asked for, plus a public statement. I nodded. Good. They knew I wasn't bluffing. The statement was published on his company's website and legal records. We acknowledge that serious errors in personal judgment were made that caused harm. We are cooperating fully with all legal proceedings and respect the decision of all parties involved. It didn't name me. But it didn't need to. Everyone already knew. Around that time, I got a message from someone I didn't expect, Tessa's older sister. We'd met a few times over the years, but never spoke directly. She wrote, "I'm sorry. I don't know how everything ended up this way. Tessa, she's always wanted what wasn't hers. I just want you to know not everyone in her world supports what she did." I didn't reply. I didn't need apologies from people who stood by silently while she wrecked my life. But still, it confirmed what I already knew. Tessa didn't love Ryan. She loved competition. She loved winning. And now that the illusion was broken, she had nothing left to hold on to. I started writing more after that. Not just about my story, but about healing, boundaries, self-respect. My blog turned into a platform. A space where women shared stories they'd never told anyone before. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about release. I spoke at women's centers. At conferences. On panels. And every time I told my story, I felt less pain and more power. Because here's the truth no one tells you after betrayal: you don't just move on. You rebuild. You become someone you were too scared to be before. And eventually, you stop bleeding. You start leading. Then one day, almost a year later, I saw them. Ryan and Tessa. At a fundraiser event. I was there as a speaker. They were seated near the back. I almost missed them. But Tessa made sure I saw her. She looked different. Thinner. Tired. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. She walked up to me during intermission. "Lena," she said, voice low. "Can we talk?" I looked at her. I had no anger. No rage. Just distance. "What is there to say?" I asked. She hesitated. I thought, maybe you'd understand now. That it wasn't personal. It was always personal, I cut in. "You were my friend. That was personal." She looked like she wanted to argue. Instead, she swallowed and nodded. "Are you happy now?" she asked quietly. I didn't even think before I answered. "I'm free." Freedom doesn't come all at once. It comes slowly, in small, quiet moments. The first time you sleep without waking up at 3 a.m. wondering what you did wrong. The first time you laugh, really laugh, without faking it. The first time you look in the mirror and see the version of you that begged for love. That's when you know, you're healing. After that fundraiser, I didn't think I'd see Tessa or Ryan again. I was wrong, again. A few weeks later, I received an envelope in the mail. Handwritten. No return address. Inside was a letter. It was from Ryan. Not an email. Not a message. A full, front and back, handwritten letter. The first sentence was simple: I owe you more than an apology, but this is all I can offer. I almost threw it out. But I read it. He talked about how things spiraled, how he never planned to hurt anyone, how feelings got complicated. The usual coward's vocabulary. But somewhere in the middle of the letter, he said something that actually stuck. Tessa didn't steal me. I gave myself to her. You were never the fool, Lena. I was just never enough of a man to deserve you. It wasn't enough to fix anything. But it was the first honest thing I'd ever heard him say. Still, I didn't respond. Closure isn't always a conversation. Sometimes, it's a boundary you refuse to let them cross again. A few days later, I got a text from a mutual friend, someone who had stayed neutral throughout everything. She said, "You might want to see this." Tessa had posted something. A long captioned photo on her account. Just her, sitting alone on a bench by the water. No filters. No makeup. Just raw. The caption read, "There's no excuse for hurting the people who loved you most." I confused possession with love. I confused competition with meaning. I don't expect forgiveness, but I do hope one day, I'll forgive myself. The comments were full of mixed emotions: supporters, critics, people asking if it was about me. I didn't comment. Didn't like the post. Didn't reach out. I had my closure. This wasn't about making her feel better. Life moved forward. My blog turned into a full platform. I published a collection of essays. Spoke at more events. Got invited to a women's retreat in Italy. I almost didn't go. Then I thought, why not? I spent years shrinking myself to make others comfortable. Now, I wanted to take up space. The trip was everything I didn't know I needed. Peace. Fresh air. Stories shared around wine glasses and late-night bonfires. I met women who had walked through fire and come out brighter. One of them asked me, "Do you still believe in love?" I smiled. I believe in myself. And I think that's the first step. When I came home, there was a voicemail on my phone. Tessa again. I know you probably never want to hear from me. But I wanted you to know. Ryan and I are no longer together. It ended. Not loudly. Just, quietly. Like it started. I listened. Then deleted it. Because the end of their story wasn't the focus anymore. Mine was. I started dating again after that. Slowly. Carefully. I wasn't looking for someone to rescue me. I wasn't looking for fireworks. I just wanted someone who understood silence. Who didn't need to lie to feel powerful. Who showed up. And eventually, I met someone. We took our time. No secrets. No masks. And you know what surprised me most? I wasn't scared. Because once you've survived the worst betrayal, the worst loss, you learn that even if it happens again, you'll survive again. You become unbreakable. I still pass by that coffee shop sometimes, the one where I confronted her. I never go in. But I glance through the window. And I smile. Not because I miss who I was. But because I'm proud of who I became after her. After him. After the lie. For a long time, I let other people tell my story. I let Ryan tell his friends I was too cold, too distant. I let Tessa play the victim, as if love just happened and couldn't be helped. I even let my silence speak for me, because I thought keeping quiet was noble. But the truth is, silence protects the wrong people. So when a publishing house reached out and asked if I'd write a full memoir, I didn't hesitate. The working title? The Second Wife Was My Best Friend. Too blunt? Maybe. But I'd spent too many years sugarcoating everything for the comfort of others. This time, I wrote it exactly as it happened. No edits to protect their reputations. No soft language. Just truth, clear, detailed, and from the heart. Writing the book brought back everything. The nights I sat at the kitchen table in silence while Ryan came home late. The brunches where Tessa sat across from me, smiling like she wasn't sleeping with my husband. The day I found out, when the floor of my life collapsed and no one was there to catch me. It hurt to write. I cried more in those 3 months than I had in the last 3 years. But something else happened too. I healed. Not just emotionally, but mentally. When you give language to your pain, it loses power over you. You become the narrator again. And for once, I was the one holding the pen. The book launched 6 months later. I expected it to do okay. I didn't expect it to explode. Women flooded my inbox. I thought I was crazy. Your story made me feel sane. You're living my life, and I didn't even realize it. Tessa was my cousin. Thank you for saying the things I couldn't. It became more than just a book. It was a lifeline. I was invited to speak at universities, women's conferences, even TV panels. And for the first time, the betrayal wasn't the headline. The survival was. Then one day, during a panel Q&A, someone asked, "Do you forgive them?" The audience went quiet. Everyone waited for some polished, gracious response. But I didn't lie. I said, forgiveness isn't owed. Not to people who never asked for it. Not to people who benefited from your silence. A few people clapped. Others looked shocked. But I didn't care. Because I wasn't there to be palatable. I was there to be honest. Tessa reached out again. This time through a mutual acquaintance. She had read the book. Apparently, she cried. She told them, I didn't know she felt all of that. Of course she didn't. Because people like her never ask. They assume. They assume the damage is temporary. That eventually you'll move on, and they won't have to carry the weight of what they did. But the truth is, some betrayals leave a permanent shape in your life. You don't carry hate forever. But you carry the lesson. And she was mine. I never responded to her. Not when she emailed. Not when she DM'd me months later, writing, I'm sorry, Lena. I know it's too late. But I lost him too. That part made me pause. Because she thought this was about Ryan. She still didn't get it. I didn't lose him. I left him. There's a difference. The funny thing is, people often ask me now, do you think she regrets it? And honestly? I think she regrets getting caught. I think she regrets losing the comfort of being the good guy in everyone's eyes. But regret and remorse aren't the same thing. She had a chance to be a better person. She chose to be silent when it counted most. So now, I'm the one with the microphone. And she's just a footnote in a story that doesn't belong to her anymore. People love a story where the heroine takes them back. Where everything is forgiven, love wins, and the villain finds redemption. That's not the story. This is the one where the woman walks away, and never looks back. It's been 2 years since I found out. 2 years since I sat in a coffee shop across from my best friend and learned she was also my husband's second wife. 2 years since the life I thought I had shattered into a version I never imagined. But here's what no one tells you, sometimes the breaking is the beginning. I live in a new city now. A smaller one, quieter, with less noise and more sky. I bought a modest house with white curtains and soft rugs and a lemon tree in the backyard. It's mine. All of it. No shared drawers. No hidden lies. Just peace. I still write, though less about the past and more about what comes after. Healing. Boundaries. Rebuilding. Starting over doesn't mean pretending the past didn't happen. It just means you stop living in it. I speak less now. Not because I'm scared, but because I've said what needed to be said. And people listened. Last fall, I ran into someone I hadn't seen since before the divorce. A former coworker who always kept a careful distance during the mess. She approached me at a bookstore of all places, clutching a copy of my memoir like she'd just discovered it. Lena, she said, eyes wide, I had no idea. I'm so sorry. I smiled. It's okay. I do. She looked surprised. I wasn't being arrogant. I just knew who I was now. And I no longer needed apologies from people who weren't there when I was drowning. As for Ryan? He moved to another state. His company rebranded. He lost a lot of clients, a lot of credibility. Word travels fast in real estate, and no one wants to partner with someone whose scandal is just one Google search away. I heard through someone that he tried to get back with Tessa. It didn't last. Apparently, she's seeing someone new now, someone younger. I don't care enough to confirm. Because here's the twist they never saw coming, I stopped watching. Stopped caring. Stopped measuring my life against theirs. When you've been burned, sometimes the best revenge is living so far beyond their reach they can even see the fire they started. I still get messages from women all over the world. I left because of your story. I finally chose me. My best friend betrayed me too, thank you for speaking up. Every single message reminds me why I never stayed quiet. Why I chose to turn the pain into power. You don't have to scream to be heard. Sometimes the loudest sound is walking away without a word, and letting your absence say what your voice never could. If you ask me now, what would you say to her if you had the chance? I'd say nothing. Not because I'm bitter. But because she doesn't deserve the ending she thought she wrote. This isn't her story anymore. It's mine. And in this one, I win.